Abdulaziz Ibn Saud was born in the year 1876 in the region of Najd, which is in the heart of the Arabian Peninsula. The region of Najd was never conquered by the Ottomans, as they could not handle the harsh desert terrain, and the region did not have strategic or material importance to the Ottomans. Therefore, throughout the reign of the Ottomans, the region of Najd was ruled by various Arab tribes and independent states. For centuries, the people of Najd were looked down upon by most other Arabs, as they were seen as backward people who were incapable of creating a strong government. However, Abdulaziz Ibn Saud would prove these people wrong and would go on to create a powerful kingdom. Although many people had a negative perception of the Najd region, Najd was not just an empty region of hostile tribes. For example, the English traveler known as Charles Montague Doughty, who visited the city of Unayza in Najd in the year 1878, stated, "Here the people are free, and their prince deals with them as if he is one of them. The people of Unayza enjoy an admirable level of civil freedom. Their princes do not become arrogant, and the poorest among them may stand up to the prince and oppose him." The family of Abdulaziz ibn Saud was one of the influential ruling families of the region, known as the Al Saud family, which was part of the larger Anza tribal confederation. His upbringing in the harsh desert of Najd made Abdulaziz a humble and brave individual. During his youth, Abdulaziz mastered the art of horse riding and swordsmanship and studied the Holy Quran. He was known for his generosity and good manners, which is why he gained popularity among the tribes. Abdulaziz was eventually forced to leave his homeland after the rival Al-Rashid family took control of Najd with the support of the Ottomans. Therefore, he took refuge in Kuwait with his family. The people of Najd eventually became fed up with the corrupt rule of the Rashidi family, and they began communicating with Abdulaziz in order to try and overthrow the Rashidis. Abdulaziz eventually returned to Najd after assembling a massive army, and he led his fighters in raids against the Rashidis. Many Arab tribes such as the Mutayr, Utayba, Harb, Ajman, Subai, Ghamid, Qahtan and Shahran tribes supported Abdulaziz ibn Saud. As a result, he managed to capture a large amount of territory from the Al-Rashidi state. After noticing the increasing influence of Abdulaziz in the region of Najd, the Al-Rashid family called on the Ottomans for military support. In the summer of 1904, 2,000 Ottoman soldiers were sent from Baghdad to Najd in order to help their allies crush Abdulaziz ibn Saud. However, they were defeated by the army of Ibn Saud. Although the Turks were tough and disciplined soldiers, most of them were not used to the harsh desert climate of Central Arabia. In the year 1906, Abdulaziz conquered the entire region of Najd and managed to kill the Rashidi ruler known as Abdulaziz bin Abdullah al-Rashid. Because of his justice towards the people, Abdulaziz gained widespread popularity. His tough upbringing in the desert made him a straightforward person who was interested in delivering justice instead of fancy speeches. He stated, "I grew up in the desert, so I do not know how to embellish speech, but I know the truth devoid of any embellishment." Soon, the name of King Abdulaziz became known all over the Arabian Peninsula, including inside Ottoman territories. In 1913, while the Ottomans were occupied with the Balkan Wars, Abdulaziz Ibn Saud attacked the Ottoman army in the region of Al-Ahsa in the Arabian Gulf and humiliated the Ottomans, who were forced to leave the region. The people of Al-Ahsa welcomed Abdulaziz as they were fed up with the corrupt Ottoman governors of the region. The conquest of the Gulf by King Abdulaziz paved the way for the further expansion of the state, as Abdulaziz utilized the Gulf for international trade, which boosted the economy of his state. However, King Abdulaziz did not stop there, as he had ambitions to become the most powerful Muslim leader in the region. Ibn Saud's last major conquest was in 1926, when he conquered the region of Hijaz, including the two holy cities of Mecca and Medina. Battles and conquests continued until 1932, when Ibn Saud declared the formation of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Despite ruling over this huge territory, King Abdulaziz remained humble. He stated, "Despite my titles, I am nothing but Abdulaziz. The Arabs said that I am king, so I accepted their words and I am thankful for their trust." The Saudi state managed to gain widespread popularity through their policies and their generosity towards the people. This generosity was expressed well by the Arab poet known as Ghunaym bin Battah al-Mutayri, who wrote multiple poems praising King Abdulaziz. On one occasion, after Ghunaym al-Mutayri's son passed away, he was unable to pay off his son's debt as he was poor. After seeing his situation, the Saudi governor known as Abdullah bin Jallawi paid off all of his debt. This generosity allowed King Abdulaziz and the Saudi state to win the hearts of the people, who were previously dissatisfied with the rule of the Rashidis and other tribes. In order to increase security and stability in the new kingdom, King Abdulaziz resettled nomadic tribes in plots of agricultural land. In order to facilitate these settlements, King Abdulaziz established new wells and irrigation systems throughout the state. He also established a special police force to deal with Bedouin tribes and bandits who robbed merchants and pilgrims. This made the region of Hijaz much safer for Muslim pilgrims who were previously exposed to robbery and looting during the Ottoman era. Despite ruling over this huge territory, King Abdulaziz remained humble. He stated, "Despite my titles, I am nothing but Abdulaziz. The Arabs said that I am king, so I accepted their words and I am thankful for their trust." King Abdulaziz also enforced the rule of law and applied strict punishments for criminals. As a result, crime became almost non-existent in the newly formed Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. For example, on one occasion, Abdullah bin Muhammad bin Aqil, who was the Saudi governor of the Al-Jawf province, managed to return a bag of coffee that was stolen from a traveler. The thief was beaten and the bag of coffee was returned to its owner. King Abdulaziz appointed many other competent governors and ministers throughout his state. For example, he appointed the merchant known as Abdullah bin Sulaiman as the Minister of Finance. Abdullah bin Sulaiman had previous experience in bookkeeping on behalf of Arab merchants in India. However, due to the lack of educated individuals in the state, King Abdulaziz also utilized talent from other Arab and Muslim countries, and he invited educated and qualified people from all over the Muslim world to come and work in his new state. For example, in 1934, Ibn Saud gave refuge to the Syrian writer known as Khairuddin Zarqali, who had been sentenced to death by French authorities in Syria, and he appointed him as the Saudi ambassador to Egypt. And he also appointed the Iraqi doctor known as Abdullah al-Damluji as the first foreign minister of Saudi Arabia. King Abdulaziz also appointed the Egyptian journalist known as Hafiz Wahba as the Saudi Minister of Education, and he appointed the Yemeni writer known as Abdullah bin Umar bil Khair as the Minister of Broadcasting, Press and Publishing Affairs. He also appointed the Indian linguist and Islamic scholar known as Abu Turab al-Zahiri as a teacher at the Grand Mosque of Mecca, and he appointed the Lebanese scholar known as Fuad Hamza, who was fluent in English and French, as a personal translator. However, King Abdulaziz also promoted education and literacy among the local population of the newly formed kingdom. During the 19th century, many of these regions were not exposed to modern technology and education, especially the region of Najd. The Saudi writer known as Abdul Karim Juhayman, who experienced this isolation in the Najd region during his childhood, stated, "We used to learn to read and write on sand and boards made out of limestone. King Abdulaziz wanted to change this, and he opened schools and institutions across the country. For example, King Abdulaziz helped establish a school for illiterate Bedouins known as Madrasa al-Sahra. This increased the literacy rate among communities that had mostly been illiterate. In addition to this, King Abdulaziz also gave financial and material support to local writers and intellectuals such as the historian and archaeologist known as Abdul Qudus al-Ansari, who wrote books on the history of cities such as Medina and Jeddah. King Abdulaziz also established the al-Qura University in Mecca and also established the al-Qura newspaper, which became the official newspaper of Saudi Arabia. Because of his investments in education, King Abdulaziz was able to ensure a new generation of Saudi ministers and governors. Another way in which King Abdulaziz strengthened his administration and increased loyalty was by marrying women from almost every major Arab tribe in the region. Throughout his life, he married 200 women and fathered over 100 children in the process. These marriages strengthened his relations with the tribes, and his children would not only become princes, but would also go on to become ministers and officials in his government. In the year 1938, oil was discovered in Saudi Arabia. King Abdulaziz used this massive oil wealth to invest in modern infrastructure throughout the kingdom, such as roads, railways, factories, and hospitals, and he ordered the expansion of the holy mosques. Besides his internal reforms, King Abdulaziz also formed strong relations with Muslim countries, and he supported the Palestinian cause against Zionist colonialism. He stated, "The Zionist occupation is unfair to Arabs and Muslims. Israel has no right to their claim regarding Palestine. The sons of Palestine are my sons, so spare no effort in helping them and liberating their lands." In 1948, King Abdulaziz sent an army of thousands of Saudi soldiers as well as volunteer fighters such as Fahad al-Mariq to fight alongside the Palestinians in the Arab-Israeli war. During the war, many Saudis were martyred while fighting against the Zionists. King Abdulaziz continued to support Palestine and other Muslim countries until his death. Despite the influx of huge wealth into the kingdom, King Abdulaziz refused to build a palace, and he lived in a simple house made out of mud bricks. King Abdulaziz passed away in 1953 in the city of Taif.
نعنب وحظك ضبط الخلطة السرية لين من طيشك ومن حبك نسيت اخواني صرت اجي